Sure. I can also get right now.
Okay.
Between rounds.
Sure, but you still let me say.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have
It will be before the end of the tournament.
Yeah,
Alright,
they usually give me around a pace per 2 weeks or so. I always run out way too early.
How are you going to get your own?
I'll be here for probably another hour. I was gonna try to dip into another hour or an hour and a half maybe.
Okay.
I was gonna dip into Dark Tower. I already hit a cosmic for cosmic. I want to run that big up that.
Hey guys, this is Brad at Paradise Games with a live Friday standard, what's it called? Friday Night Magic, that's what it's called. I don't quite know what decks these guys are playing yet, but I think we'll figure it out real quick. On the left is Tyler Harris. He brings something different every week. Right now I see there's a Fight with Fire in his sideboard, so I'll figure that out. It looks like he's on blue-red spells, potentially wizards. And then James has been playing Sultai Hour of Promise, and his sideboard has Sultai cards in it, so I'm going to assume that's what we're on too. So let's see. I'll call this Blue-Red Wizards. I'll call James's deck Hour of Promise. They're rolling to see who goes first, and it looks like we are underway. So this is our second night with a new prize structure. So what we've got going on is these players are going to play 4 rounds, and they're going to get a booster pack for each match that they win. And then the top 4 are going to play in a bonus round for 2 booster packs and an F&M promo, which is an opt. Let's go ahead and get that Carnage Tyrant out of here. I do think that there is a Carnage Tyrant in James Walton's deck, perhaps 2 of them. That might be how he wins the game. So it's not absurd to have that card up there. But that's not on the battlefield yet, so that doesn't need to be what we're talking about. Siren Storm Tamer is Tyler's play on turn 1. Siren Storm Tamer is a pirate, but it is also a wizard. So I'm gonna assume I'm right here, and let's see if more wizards show up. Siren Storm Tamer is a 1/1 flyer that you can pay a blue and sacrifice in order to counter target spell or ability that targets you or a permanent you control. Tyler's getting in for 1, James is going to 19 because his land was tapped, and then Tyler is casting a Chart a Course, and he is drawing cards. He has Raid, so he's drawing 2, and he is not discarding. James has another land enter tapped. It's blue and green that he's got up. So it's not going to be a Fatal Push that he plays this turn. Tyler's attacking for 1 more. And then he's playing a Warkite Marauder. So let's bring this guy up. Warkite Marauder is a flying 2/1 that temporarily makes your opponent's creatures into 0/1s with no rules text. James plays a Glint-Sleeve Siphoner, generates 1 energy, and then misses his land drop. So it looks like Tyler also misses lane drop. So both these players are stuck on 2. Tyler's going to attack for 3, temporarily shrink that Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. James is going to take that 3, fall from 18 to 15. James is going to play, or sorry, Tyler's going to play another Warkite Marauder. So he's definitely putting extra power onto the battlefield. James just drew a snake. So Hour of Promise is not a good name. He is, looks like, on Snakes and Ladders, which is the Sultai Snake deck. So named because Hadana's Climb lets your Bristling Hydra go to the sky. That's the ladder, apparently. And the snake apparently is Bristling Hydra, but of course the snake is the Winding Constrictor. That's what that deck is really named after. Of favorable winds makes this 5-power army into an 8-power army. Which means unless James has an answer now, which he's paying 2 energy to gain to draw an extra card, he is going to be scooping them up. And I have not gotten their sideboards recorded yet, so hopefully he takes a second to ponder before he makes that play. Yep, so that's it. He stumbled a little too much, and that Wizards deck, which is not, or the Flyers deck, which is not a Wizards deck, gets there for game 1.
this tournament?
I'll probably go outside. We'll get these back.
Alright, I'm back. I had to get those players their sideboards and also had to make it so that the stream audio wasn't playing in the room that they were playing in. So that was a little unprofessional, but let's take a look at what these guys have. James Walton is on Carnage Tyrant, Siren Gravestone. That's not right. There it is. That's his real sideboard. So he's presumably going to bring in Fatal Pushes to answer little dudes. Bronodons are big in race, and they do with favorable wins, but I think he wants to 1-for-1 his opponent's creatures, which the Kartosh of Ambition actually kills everything Tyler Harris played there, and then races. So I think James is going to be bringing in Kartosh of Ambitions and Fatal Pushes. I think he's going to be taking out his Hadana's Climbs because, one, Tyler's likely to be able to block, and two, you don't need to steal the win. Tyler Harris's card quality is probably kind of low because he's just playing cheap dudes. So if you can trade your dudes for his dudes early on, you'll overpower him with something later. Tyler saw a snake in a Glint Sleeve Siphoner. And this has been true for a long time with the red deck against the green-black deck. Is Magma Spree is good against half their cards and bad against the other half. It kills a Walking Ballista before it gets a chance to get big, and it kills a Glint Sleeve Siphoner, but it doesn't interact with Winding Constrictor at all. So you really have to decide if you're going to bring it in, and I don't know what the answer to that question is. Fight with Fire kills all of them, but for 3 mana you lose that trade. Essence Scatter is the only card here that can interact with all of James's pieces, although Tyler's on the draw this game. So he might have sideboarded 0 cards, but he might bring in Essence Scatters when he's on the play next game if James is able to take this one. And if James is not able to take this one, then Tyler doesn't have to worry. He's accomplished his task. Alright, so we're dealing our hands. I guess I should get these life totals set back to 20. James says his first lane drop, it enters untapped this time, although it's a single green, so he's still not going to do anything with that mana this turn. And there's a Siren Storm Tamer. Again, right on time. James generates 1 energy and doesn't spend it, plays a Servant of the Conduit, goes up to 3 energy. Tyler attacks for 1, James doesn't block, 19, First Blood. Two mana for a Warkite Marauder. This is working out exactly the way Tyler did last game. It worked out great for him last game, but this time James is playing lands and casting spells. He has 3 mana, which he didn't have in the entirety of last game. Uses an energy to generate a black to play a Glint Sleeve Siphoner to get the energy back, so he's still energy count 3 for James Walton. And he's going to decide if he is attacking, and he is not attacking. Tyler untaps, looks like he's got some 1-drops, some 2-drops, and some 3-drops in his hand, so he'll get to decide how much mana he wants to spend. Tyler serves. The Warkite Marauder is trying to make the Servant into a 0/1, but in response we'll use 1 energy and we'll Fatal Push that Warkite Marauder. Tyler says that's okay. So James will take 1 and go to 18. Then a Whirler Virtuoso from Tyler. 2/3 on the ground is going to stop the Servant of the Conduit from beating, if that's what was going to happen. But now it also makes a Thopter. James paid a life and 2 energy to draw an extra card off that Glint Sleeve Siphoner, so he's currently up a card, if down a little bit of life. It looks like he has Gifted Aetherborns, Walking Ballistas, Rishkars all in his hand. There's going to be a Ballista on 1, which can answer the Storm Tamer, which prevents it from getting out of hand if Favorable Winds is played. Glint Sleeve Siphoner has Menace, so it can attack without fear, and it's going to give James 1 energy. And put Tyler's life total to 18. At the end of James' turn, Tyler's going to pay 3 energy and make a Thopter. Let's see if we can get a better look at some of those cards in Tyler's hand. I saw what looked like a Glorybringer, but I'm not confident. He's just going to go to combat. He's going to serve for 2 in the air. James will use the Walking Ballista to kill the Thopter, not to kill the Storm Tamer. Tyler's going to play a Penal Art, make another Thopter, and another Storm Tamer. So he's got 5 bodies. James finds a land drop, which is going to let him play a 4-drop this turn, if that's what he chooses to do. He does have a Bristling Hydra in his hand, although that would cost him his only energy to make that 2nd source of green or that 4th mana. Drops a card on his lap. Judge. I'm not sure what the line is. There's an option here to just put a Kartosh on your Servant of the Conduit, kill a Siren Storm Tamer, and then serve for 3, which Tyler would then probably trade. You'd gain 3, you would have gotten 2 creatures off the battlefield. He's putting it on the Siphoner instead. Now Tyler was already likely to double block. So either James screwed up and now the Siphoner is going to die, or James values the Servant more than he values the Siphoner. That's also possible. But there is no attack. Tyler Untaps hits his 5th land. Let's see if he did have that dragon I thought I saw. It would look pretty nice here. That's 5 mana, that's confidence, that's a dragon. So that dragon's going to exert and kill that Siphoner. And I wonder why the ground guys aren't coming in. But that's 1, 2, plus 4 is 6 damage coming through. James is at 10, but he does get to untap. Got a Hinterland Harbor in his hand, which will enter untapped, giving him his 5th mana source. He's checking life total or energy pad or something. There's a Vrask in his hand. That'll cost him 6 and definitely does not get him out of here. What he could really go for is a big blocker. A Glorybringer of his own. Which of course he doesn't play the right colors for. A Glyph Keeper would be quite the magic card here. Let's see what he's thinking. Looks like a Rishkar and a Bristling Hydra are what he is waffling between. Rishkar would guarantee that he gets to play Vraska next turn. Vraska next turn would kill Glorybringer before Glorybringer got to untap because it's currently exerted. That looks like what he's choosing. So that will make a pair of 3/3s, which will prevent Tyler's ground guys from getting through, which they already were opting not to. Tyler's untapping, reaching for the dragon. The dragon is still tapped. And he's got a PNLR, which is not great because it is legendary, although it would make another Thopter. And he has an Aether Sphere Harvester in hand, which is a 3-power flyer. It can get crewed by the PNLR or the Whirler Virtuoso. Tyler's going to attack for 2 in the air. James is going to take it, going to 8. Then Aether Sphere Harvester will generate 2 energy. Not enough to make another Thopter. And James needs a good draw step. He finds a Fatal Push, which is not an answer to Glorybringer. It would tap him out entirely to play the Vraska and kill the Glorybringer. And then there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, lethal damage chasing him down. So that's not a line. So James has gotta try and work some magic. Is there a way we can take a hit from Glorybringer and survive the turn? If Glorybringer exerts and eats a dude, then we can Fatal Push the Harvester, take 4, 5, 6 in the air, and then only 2 damage from the creatures on the ground. That's not lethal. Oh, there's a Thrashing Bronodon in his hand. Also answers Harvester, but not the dragon. So it does look like James can survive the turn. Now, what does he do this turn to make it so that he can win next turn? He's going to need to stabilize the ground in such a way that Vraska can clean up the sky. But again, there's a Harvester and a Glorybringer on the battlefield, so he might need to play the Bronodon this turn so that he can make sure he answers the Harvester. Or he can play the Hydra and hope that Fatal Push gets to answer the Harvester. It's probably where you want to be, is tap your Servant of the Conduit and your non-black lands to play Bristling Hydra and keep up a Fatal Push, so that when Tyler goes to exert your dragon, you Fatal Push his Harvester. You take 6 in that line, but you're not dead. Worth noting, when Tyler untaps, the Storm Tamer will have mana to protect the Glorybringer from your Vraska next turn. So it's possible you need to Fatal Push the Storm Tamer this turn, but I don't think you can do that and survive the turn. I suppose if you play a Brontodon and a Fatal Push instead of a Hydra and a Fatal Push, you can kill both the Harvester and the Storm Tamer, survive the turn. That is an option. But he does go with the Hydra. He's got the energy to protect it. I'm not sure my arithmetic accounted for Pia's ability to pump an artifact. So Pia crews the Harvester. Now the question is, if Tyler exerts the dragon, it looks like he does not, but he does send the Whirler Virtuoso, which is a little peculiar. That's just going to get eaten. Well, also James tapped his black mana, so he can't cast a Fatal Push. So that's going to be the game. Tyler Harris takes round 1, 2-0, and because of our new tournament structure, that means Tyler Harris is going to be getting a booster pack. So that was Swell on the back, largely, of Glorybringer that game. He played one, and James failed to find an answer to it. His answer to it that he had in hand was a Vraska Relic Seeker, but he never got to the 6 mana. Well, he got to the 6 mana the last turn, but tapping out for it would have caused him to die anyway. So yeah, I think Tyler played this blue-red Flyers deck 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weeks ago. I got a chance to see it, and it matched up very nicely against the mono-black deck, and very poorly against the mono-green deck. If your plan is to 1-for-1 Tyler Harris's creatures using spells, you're going to fall behind to Whirler Virtuosos, PNLRs, and generally cheaper creatures. But Tyler doesn't really have a way to deal with Thrashing Pteranodon, Steel Leaf Champions, Galtas, and just a real aggressive clock. So we'll see, maybe we'll get an opportunity to get Tyler back on camera later tonight in a race matchup and see how he does there, because we saw him struggle in that matchup before. But he is definitely the winner of round 1, so we'll go get him his booster pack. I'm going to sign off, play some music, and be back here for round 2. So thank you guys for watching. Alright guys, we're back. This is Brad at Paradise Games for round 2. We've got Finn McNutt playing against Brian Falconer. So let's update this overlay. Let's see if we can't get cut up before these players get started. I actually don't know what either of these guys are playing, but I've got their sideboards in front of me, so that'll give me a couple hints. So let's see. This Teal deck, oh, I do know what it's doing. This is a blue-white Godfurrow's Gift. So that's Finn on blue-white Gift. And Brian has a Swamp in his sideboard. Looks like he is on Chain Whirler Control, which took 3rd of the most recent Pro Tour under the piloting skill of Owen Turtenwald. Alright, so this is the red deck that can get big. All the red decks can get a little big, but there's the red-black one that's going to be playing probably 6 or 7 or 8 of the Hazoret, Rekindling Phoenix, Chandra, Glorybringer slot, where where the smaller deck is playing 4, I guess. So it's just the slightly bigger version of that deck. Yeah. It will definitely struggle to deal with an eternalized, what's that angel called? Definitely struggle to deal with an eternalized Angel of Invention, but who doesn't? What it can do is, 1, just raise the thing, or 2, abrade the Godfurrow's Gift. So Brian definitely has a lot of play, but Finn has the late game. Looks like Finn's on the mulligan. Which I presume means Brian kept his 7. It looks like he's got a little hand in front of him. Pardon my clicky clacking. I'm just putting these guys' sideboard into the display, so we have something to look at in between rounds. Let's get this round timer restarted. All right, and now Finn is taking a fresh 6. Got a little glance of Brian's hand there. It's got a Bromat Courier, a Chain Whirler, some lands, possibly a removal spell. Not quite sure. But we'll see shortly. Finn makes 1 energy, and I believe he gestured to pass the turn, but we'll see if that's true. Bromat Courier is coming in. He's going to get in there for 1. He's going to put a card under him. Chart a Course. On turn 2, Finn's an Angel of Invention. That Bromat Courier comes in for a 2nd point of damage, gets a 2nd card under him, and then it looked like Brian had no follow-up, so there was no Earthshaker Kenra, no Scrapheap Scrounger, no Kirizev. But he does use his mana to cycle. Finn does nothing on turn 3. Bomat Courier gets in for a 3rd point of damage. A 3rd card goes under it. And Chain Whirler puts Finn down to 16. Finn plays his 4th land, gets his 2nd energy. He did not find the dig spells. There's no Chart of Course, there's no strategic planning. Brian's coming in with his 4th unmolested combat step for 4 damage, putting Finn down to 12. And this is where Brian gets to start playing his powerful spells, but apparently it's just a Chain Whirler. Finn, Field of Ruins and Dragon Skull Summit. I believe Brian's deck does not have a swamp in it. Well, you know, the really aggro version doesn't have a swamp in it, but this slower, bigger one very well could. We'll see how that works out. Finn goes and finds a plane, so he won't have to use his energy to tap those Aether Hubs for mana. But now, Finn needs to play a 5-drop, and it needs to be a 5-drop that stabilizes. I don't think he mainboards Angel of Sanctions, although that would be a good draw here. He certainly mainboards Angel of Invention. Yeah, I'm not sure what his best draw here is. What he really wants is a way to get a Godpharaoh's Gift into his graveyard. So he sees a 5th land. Well, there's a Fumigate. Well, that's pretty decent. Brian has the opportunity to turn his hand in for a new one and deny his opponent 1 life. And he's going to opt to do that. Oh no, he's just counting the number of cards under his Bomat Courier. He's got land, what else is there? Land, Unlicensed Disintegration, Lightning Strike. So yep, he's going to catch that in, so that means Finn is only going to gain 2 life going to 13. And Brian's new hand is land, Bomat Courier, land? So that looks real bad. Pardon that Vraska that showed up there. Let's get a real card. I think it's just going to be, yeah, Bomat Courier is going to come in, get in there for 1. And Brian's commanding position evaporated by drawing all air under that Bomat Courier. Now Finn's going to get to play, it looks like he does have an Angel of Sanctions. I think he also has an Angel of Invention. I'm not sure what he'll do, and the answer, nothing, was quite the surprise to me. Brian did find a Carry Zev, which is going to let his damage per turn go up to 4. Combat Step brings Finn down to 11. The Lightning Strike in his hand would bring him down to 8, so that Carry Zev plus Bomat Courier would be a 2-turn clock. Finn's going to Ipnu Rivulet himself, looking for a Godpharaoh's Gift to refurbish, but he does not find one, and that's what he did that turn instead of playing an Angel. There was Godpharaoh's Gift just 1 card further down. Now he's going to play an Angel, but which one? Finn is similarly uncertain. It is the Angel of Invention. You see Finn's got scribbles all over his cards. That was his yearbook. He says yearbooks are expensive, so he got his friends to sign his magic cards. Which, I think that's pretty sweet. I'm about that. I respect that. And those Pokemon cards, oh man, I think that's the Execute that keeps coming back to your hand that you used to see tournament Pokemon play. Lightning Strike kills the Angel of Invention. He's going to be able to get 1 more card under the Bomat Courier, so he's going to be able to flip it into 3. So that was a good Lightning Strike just because you want all your mana up now. Yeah, so that Bomat Courier was the only piece of gas he drew when he flipped his last Bomat Courier, but this Bomat Courier is turning into 2 mana for 2 damage and 3 cards, so it's basically Lightning Bolt Ancestral Recall. Four mana, there's the Phoenix. One more card goes under the Bomat Courier. There's an attack monkey coming in. There's Ragavan, looking dapper. Finn's going to block the Bomat Courier and the monkey, and Brian is going to sack the Bomat Courier. Means Finn's going to take 1 damage, going down to 10 off that Karizev. And I did not see what cards ended up in Brian's hand, but he's got 2 mana remaining. Nothing to do with it, though. Ragavan died in combat. Rest in peace, noble attack monkey. Looks like Finn does not have the 7th mana that he needs to play the God Pharaoh's Gift. Didn't have an Angel of Sanctions either? Another Ragavan block. Karizev gets in for 1, Phoenix gets in for 4, that's 5, which puts Finn down to 5. And Brian seems to have no gas after flipping 3 more cards off that Bomat Courier. There's a Minister of Inquiries. That'll help mill him to find something to God Pharaoh's Gift, but this Angel of Sanctions is going to have to answer that Rekindling Phoenix. That'll need to be pretty good. Brian has no attacks, passes the turn back. Finn starts with a Chart a Course, discarding a God Pharaoh's Gift, and then he'll refurbish that, reanimate an Angel. Oh, Padim first before the refurbish. So he's pretty confident he has an extra turn. And Padim is an unusual main board inclusion. Brian has a Karizev, couple lands, 2, yeah, those lands are Spires, and it looks like another Bomat Courier. Finn says, my artifacts have hexproof. So Brian's going to play the Bomat Courier, put a thing under it. It's going to get blocked. He's going to turn his hand into that 1 card. And that 1 card is a Rekindling Phoenix. Nope, that's a Soulscar Mage. That's quite a bit smaller than Rekindling Phoenix. Now Finn gets to untap, refurbish his God Pharaoh's Gift, eternalize an Angel of Sanctions, and this game is wrapped up. Brian agrees. Game 1 goes to Finn, and I'm going to go get these guys their sideboards, and we'll get ready for game 2. Alright, I'm back. Those players got their sideboard, so let's take a look at what's in them. Brian has a swamp for when he brings in the big stuff. It's also nice when you know your opponent's going to be Field of Ruining or settling the wreckage to be able to go get a black source. That's mostly for the blue-white matchup, which is kind of the cardinal matchup in this format if the mirror match doesn't count. So Brian needs another Abrade and some Duress. Perhaps he's going to want Glorybringer to interact with those angels. Finn is definitely bringing in Sunscorched Champions, probably bringing in Cast Out, and perhaps bringing in Fairground Warden and Farm to Market. But Sunscorched Champion is so good in the burn matchup that it's a really powerful weapon for Finn. It gains him life, sometimes a whole lot of life. It gives him the opportunity to discard cards when he wants to discard cards. Where Farm to Market is nice, it kills a creature, but for 3 mana it kills a creature, and there's a decent chance that creature costs Brian less than 3 mana. And then it's 3 more mana to discard, which you can't do until turn 4, which you really want to be doing your looting on turn 2 and turn 3. Let's get an idea of what Finn's taking out. I think he already grabbed what he was going to put in, and I didn't quite catch it. He's mainboarding Angel of Sanctions, which is why we don't see Angel of Sanctions in his sideboard, which is why he has room for the cast out and the Ixalan's Binding. I think Cataclysmic Gearhulk is mostly good against the token deck, although I suppose Blue-White Control plays Ixalan Bindings and cast outs and sealaways, and so maybe Cataclysmic Gearhulk comes in against the control deck as a way to get rid of some of those enchantments. That would make sense. I don't think we're going to see it here, though. It's not exactly an anti-aggro card. It's much more an anti-mid-range card. Yeah, so Brian brought in an Angrath. Oh, that was his sideboard? I guess he didn't bring in the Angrath. He didn't bring in the Aethersphere Harvester. Well, now I know that was his sideboard. I knew what I could have been looking for, but I wasn't looking for it. This is the big thing that surprised me, is Brian has these Argworld Bloodfasts. And those cards are sweet because they draw you a ton of cards. But they gain you life in the mirror match. And once you flip a Bloodfast, you can sacrifice your Rekindling Phoenix in response to cast outs or settle the wreckages or Vraska's Contempts. And so it'll just keep gaining you life, and while it's doing that, generate the card advantage that the card is supposed to generate. Prevents your opponent from dealing with it cleanly. So that's why I'm calling this Chain Roller Control. Even though Turtenwald made the joke on Twitter, this deck really is Chain Roller Control. In this matchup, your opponent's a combo deck. Your plan is to play creatures and attack. But I assume in the mirror match, you're more likely to take the control role than the average version of this deck. But our players have shuffled up. We're going to game 2. Let's see how that looks. Brian will get to be on the play this game. Last game, he had Bomat Courier into double Chain Whirler with nothing to do on turn 2, and then he flooded out pretty darn hard. I assume that his list still has Scroungers and Kenras in it, although the only 2-drop we actually saw was Karizev. Both players are looking at their 7. I see a mountain, 2 mountains, no black source for Brian, but there's Scroungers, there's a Chandra, there's some playables. I assume he's going to keep that. Let's take a look at what Finn has, see if we can get a better look at that. There's a Churticourse, oh, it was strategic planning. There's the 1-drop. That was a pretty nice inclusion. So he's going to generate 2 mana, and that deck is a good deal faster when it gets to play the turn 1 Minister of Inquiries. There's a strategic planning, which puts a Godpharaoh's Gift and some sort of creature, I think, into the graveyard. Brian gets to come in for 3, and Finn just blocks and doesn't even mill himself. There's a Pia Nolar making a Thopter. Yeah, this is a very controlling version of this deck. Finn finds an Ibnu Rivulet, plays a Champion of Wits. I don't actually see the Refurbish in Finn's hand, but he gets to bin a Sunscorched Champion and a land. So next turn, if he chooses to, he'll get to Eternalize that Sunscorched Champion, make a 4/4, and gain 4 life. This turn, he's likely just trading that Champion of Wits for a Pia. Brian is not sure if he wants to play a spell first, if he wants to attack. It's definitely worth considering just playing that Chandra, blowing up that champion. But you know that Chandra is going to need to answer the Sunscorch champion. So you're probably, I guess, offering that trade, taking 1 and playing a Phoenix this turn so you can try and fly over the top of your opponent after they eternalize that Sunscorch champion. Yeah, that was not my first inclination, but that's probably a stronger play than Brian, and that makes sense why you stop to think. Because when you just talk and you don't stop to think, you say dumb things. Here's another strategic planning. He's looking for that refurbish. He's putting a second Godpharaoh's Gift into his graveyard. I think he found a refurbish, although that may have been a fumigate. And he did not spend this turn eternalizing that Sunscorch champion. So now he's casting a Chart a Course. Draw 2, discard 1, because he did not attack with a creature this turn. So he is very likely to have the refurbish for that Godpharaoh's Gift next turn, but he doesn't have the Angel. He just has a Sunscorch champion, which is pretty good but not insane. He's attacking for 7 this turn, putting Finn down to 12. And casting the Chandra, taking up the Chandra, putting Finn down to 10. Unless he hits a Bomat Courier, in which case he'll be pretty embarrassed that he did this main phase too. That's a Heart of Kiran, which he cannot cast, which puts Finn down to 10. There is a farm to market, so Finn did bring those in. The nice thing about the Chandra is it means if Finn refurbishes Godpharaoh's Gift, eternalizes a Sunscorch champion, gaining 4 life, going to 14, he's incentivized to attack the Chandra, which means he doesn't have a blocker and the Chandra does survive. So he may just not be able to do that, even though you want to threaten your opponent's Chandra. Ah, it's not a refurbish, it's a cast out. Interesting. So the Phoenix is no longer a threat, but now Brian gets to draw some additional cards with the help of the Chandra. So I'll start by taking her up and exiling the top card of his library. Well, perhaps not. Perhaps he wishes to generate mana? Let's pull up Chandra and take a look at what she does. He does take her up, exiling a Scrapheap Scrounger, which it looks like he is keeping in exile, which puts Finn down to 8 life. Puts Chandra up to 6 loyalty. Declare combat. We're attacking for 3, and we're pumping once. So we're attacking for 4, putting Finn down to 4. So then Brian presumably has something to do with 3 mana. I believe we know he had an unlicensed Disintegration in his hand before, but instead we're going to Doomfall. We're going to take a look at Finn's hand. There's a farm to market, there's a Chart a Course, there's a Godpharaoh's Gift. He's got 5 lands in play. So Brian's going to read farm to market, but I think he's going to take Chart a Course. He did exile the Chart a Course. So Finn has the mana to kill 1 dude, but each dude is lethal, given that the Chandra taking up sends him down to 2. So what did he draw? He drew the 7th land, and he needs to cast the Godpharaoh's Gift, and that's not going to get him there. If Brian navigates this turn correctly, he will win the game this turn. Take up Chandra, exiling a mountain, putting Finn down to 2. Yeah, and they see it. Finn could answer 1 with farm to market, but if he answers the Thopter, then Pia wins the game. And if he answers the Pia, then Pia can pump the Thopter, so the Thopter wins the game.
Somebody should be calling, exactly.
Alright, so these players are sideboarding again. You might do something a little different on the play than you're on the draw. What would that look like? If Brian sideboarded in a swamp to better support his black spells, on the play he might want the additional land, but on the draw he might want to cut a mountain. He almost certainly brought in his Durettes and his Abrade, and we know he brought in his Doomfall, so that's 5 cards. And he probably brought in the Swamp if he brought in the Duresses, so that's 6 cards. I think on the draw you're still going to want all those. Perhaps you'll find Doomfall to be too slow, but it's still your turn 3, and Finn's deck is designed to operate on turn 4. So Doomfall does hit before the critical turn. Finn just boxed his deck, it looks like. Shuffled his cards so they're not all pointed the same direction. No, I think he just... Yes, yep. So your cards are all pointing the wrong way and you look like a fool. You look like a fool, Finn. No, you're doing just fine, Finn. And you get to be on the play for game 3, so you've got to be slightly advantaged. Alright, he's got one half of his deck pointed the right direction. Alright, minor inconvenience, and we're back. They set their energy counters to 0. So, Bomat Courier and Minister of Inquiries are both of these decks relevant 1-drop, so Brian probably also has Soulscar Mage. Finn is on the play, and both of Brian's relevant 1-drops have 1 power, and Minister of Inquiries is a 1/2. So, a Minister of Inquiries does a pretty good job of blanking each of these guys' turn 1 plays. For Brian, I see lands and spells. I didn't get a good look at what Finn had going on, but neither of them are happy with it. So we've got both players going down to 6. There's plenty of time on the clock for a game 3. Finn is going to be on the play with blue-white Godpharaoh's Gift. Brian is going to be on the draw with Chainwhirler Control, which is the red-black, slightly bigger version of Chainwhirler Midrange, which of course is the slightly bigger version of Chainwhirler Aggro. Well, Finn throws a couple cards on the table. Make sure they're in his deck pointing in the right direction. Alright, present. Both players cut. Let's take a look at some 6s. Finn's got Glacial Fortress, Irrigated Farmland. He's keeping. Scry's another land to the top. I see a Chart of Course, and that's basically what that deck wants to do. I didn't see if he had Ministry of Inquiries. I didn't see if he had Refurbish. But with a pile of Chart of Courses, he will tend to find the pieces that he's missing. Brian's got at least 3 lands, and then he got a Pia, an Unlicensed Disintegration, a Chandra, and a Glorybringer. So he's going to play the big side of the deck, which is really what he's designed to do. And Finn is cycling a Cast Out at the end of turn 1. Here's a Chart a Course to draw 2. Does he have the Godfarer's Gift to discard? He does not, but he has the Angel, which is the kind of the other half of the combo. Brian has nothing proactive to do on 2 mana. So Finn gets a turn with 3 mana and no threats against him. And he goes for the Field of Ruin. Brian, I believe, did sideboard in the swamp, though, so he does have one to go find. Yep, there it is. So, at the Pro Tour, it was a pretty safe assumption that if you Field of Ruined a red-black player, they were unable to find a swamp. But Brian had that swamp in his sideboard. I believe it's his 25th land, although that's something I'm going to ask him about after the game. So when he's bringing in his Duresses and Doomfalls and Angraphs and black cards, or when he's bringing his Curve Up, he has the ability to add an additional mana source or an additional black source, and one that you can find off a Settle the Wreckage or a Field of Ruin. It's a pretty decent inclusion. So now Brian has 3 mana, and he gets to choose to cast either a PNLR or to hold up an Unlicensed Disintegration. And he opts to do the proactive thing, which I think makes a whole lot of sense. His opponent is still going to have a better late game than him. There's that Refurbish. So there's no Godfarer's Gift in the graveyard right now, but Finn has hit his mana. And Brian stumbled on his. He just found a Heart of Kiran, which he can play this turn but not attack with this turn. It looks like he did not hit his 4th lane drop, so he's not dropping Chandras now. He's just going to play a Heart of Kiran and pass the turn, I presume. Finn finds a Champion of Wits. I don't know if he has a Godfarer's Gift in his hand, but if he does, this is going to put that Godfarer's Gift in his graveyard with an Angel of Invention while he has a Refurbish in his hand. Looks like, what are you binning? There's not a gift there. He's binning a 2nd Angel and a Plains. So this is a turn where he could have been casting Angel of Invention if he wasn't binning them, but instead he bins another one. Plays a Ministry of Inquiries, which will help him dig for the gift, because he can mill himself with Ministry of Inquiries. If he finds a Godfarer's Gift in that mill, then he has the opportunity to refurbish it. Finn seems to be having a problem with a chair, has switched his chair out. He is Brian is crewing his Heart of Kiran and attacking for 4 with Flying and Vigilance. Finn takes that, goes to 13. I think Brian has an Unlicensed Disintegration in his hand. 2 of them, in fact. If I was Brian, I would be firing that off at the Ministry of Inquiries right now. After seeing the loot on that Champion of Wits, you know Finn doesn't have a Godfarer's Gift in his hand, and you really don't want him to mill into one. So Finn's deciding whether or not he's going to mill himself during his upkeep. I don't believe there's a particular advantage one way or the other. He does find his 6th land. Now he's going to mill himself with this Ministry of Inquiries. Oh, there's the gift. He could have some interest in playing around a Braid, but what else are you doing this combat step? Finn does show restraint does seem to be afraid of an Abrade, and instead cast a Fumigate. It's a very conservative play. It is going to kill 4 creatures and gain Finn 4 life up to 17. Brian might respond with an Unlicensed Disintegration. This Unlicensed is basically doing 4 damage because it's also going to prevent Finn from gaining life. So that's going to put him down to 10, and then when the Fumigate resolves, he'll go back up to 13, instead of going up to 17. So now Brian gets to untap. Still doesn't find another land. Although he does have the Abrade in hand now. Doomfall is going to be able to take the Refurbish. Show us the rest of your hand, Finn. That's how the card works. That was fabulous. Finn took a turn off in order to play around an Abrade, and seemed to me to be punished for it. I didn't see what spell he took, but he's binning 2 lands off that strategic planning. Yeah, Brian still finds himself with nothing to do. There's another Refurbish, and there's a blue spell in Finn's hand as well. So that's going to be a Refurbish targeting a Godpharaoh's Gift. I believe Brian has the Abrade, so that's going to go away before he gets to do anything nasty with it. So somehow, Brian is holding on, but he still is in a sore need of that 4th land. He does draw the 3-power creature that's able to crew that Heart of Kiran. There's a Godpharaoh's Gift again, which is going to get him this angel. This angel is going to be a 6/6 flying vigilance lifelink, which puts Brian down to 12 and Finn up to 15. That 9 life total that Finn was just at was exactly enough for Chandra to tick up Heart of Kiran crew Scrounger to kill. Now he's playing an Unlicensed Disintegration, which does kill that angel, and then crewing a Heart of Kiran and attacking with it down for 8, but there is another angel in the graveyard. Padim is going to make that Godpharaoh's Gift unabradable, so Brian's going to have to fight through all of these, and I don't think he can do that. This is going to send him down to 6, and Finn up to 14. There's finally the 4th land, but it is not enough. That Phoenix was going to be able to block that angel forever, but the amount of life gain is going to get out of control. Finn gestures at the Godpharaoh's Gift in his Padim and says, "I will draw a card." Finn casts Chart of Course, looking to put another fatty into his graveyard. Or another creature, I suppose. Everything's a fatty when you eternalize it. It's a Sunscorched Champion. He's going to eternalize another Godpharaoh's Gift. Or, sorry, refurbish another Godpharaoh's Gift. And then when he goes to combat, he's going to get a Champion of Wits to draw 4 and then discard 2 with his other Godpharaoh's Gift trigger on the stack. So if he's able to find another Angel of Invention, he can bin that. He should actually be drawing 5 and discarding 2, because the Angel does pump his Champion of Wits. Now the second one gets to resolve for this Sun Champion, which is going to get him 5 life, because, again, the Angel of Invention pumps his board. That's going to put him to 19. Now he's attacking with a 6/6 flying Vigilance. Brian is able to block 1 flyer, but then he will take 8. The Scrounger, yeah. The Scrounger could crew the Heart of Kirin. He could block and only take 4 and survive this turn, but he is not going to overcome the amount of life gain that's coming here, which means Finn is the winner of Game 2, and that is Blue-White Godpharaoh's Gift taking a 3-game set against Chain Whirler Control in the hands of Brian. That was fabulous. Given our new tournament structure, that means Finn's going to be getting a booster pack, and he's now 2-0, which is on his way to playing the single elimination match for the F&M Opt. These players are going to get back to their main 60. Oh, there's a countervailing wins in the main board. That's quite the surprise. But I am going to play some music and sign off until the next round starts. So thanks, guys, for watching. Hello guys, we're back with round 3 of Paradise Games Friday Night Magic. This time we've got Patrick Merrifield again on Chain Roller Control. Yeah, get used to it. This is the format. Against Luis Barniol playing Mono Black on mid-range with Dread Shades and Josu Vesses. It's really quite the sweet list. It looks like Patrick may already be on the mulligan. Let's see, how many cards is Luis holding? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7. Luis has 7 in hand. May have missed a little something, but we'll find out real quick. 4, 5, 6. Those are lands and spells, including a Bomat Courier and a 4-drop. So yeah, Patrick was on the mulligan. Looks like both players are on the mulligan, but both players kept 6. And the red deck is starting with Bomat Courier, coming in for 1, getting Luis down to 19, and exiling the top card of his library. Comes in for number 2, but there's a Fatal Push to answer it this time. Second land enters tapped. It's a Canyon Slough, so Luis gets a chance to use mana without being behind, and there's a Gifted Aetherborn. Very good in this matchup. 2 mana for a 2/3 lifelink and Death Touch. Carrie Zev herself, she does have menace, so she can attack past the Aetherborn, but Ragavan, the attack monkey that she makes when she attacks, will get blocked and actually gain Luis life if Patrick tries to attack here. Luis is going to come in for 2, get Patrick down to 18, go up to 21. And let's see if he has a Dread Shade or a Moment of Craving or some sort of play. There's a Dread Shade, 3 mana 3/3. You can pay a black to give it +1/+1 until end of turn as often as you like. So that still can block the attack monkey, but it can also get eaten by this Chandra, which means Patrick gets to attack for 3 with the help of his attack monkey, and we are at 18 all. Chandra going down to 1 loyalty, so the Gifted Aetherborn is able to kill it, gaining Luis 2 life because of his life-linking dude. And Luis has 4 mana up, which means Fatal Push. I was expecting a Vraska's Contempt, but nope, it's a Fatal Push that was there. So here's a Phoenix, so if Luis has that Vraska's Contempt, he now has a good target for it. And there it is, which is going to put Luis up to 22. And then his attack step is going to put him up to 24 and Patrick down to 16. There's another Carrie Zev from Patrick. And another serve with the Aetherborn that Patrick's going to chump block. Luis is going to go to 26. That lifelink is being quite dramatic here. Patrick is finally able to get the Aetherborn off the battlefield with the help of a Carrie Zev and a Shock, and now he gets to come in for 3/4, potentially. Looks like Luis is thinking about a combat step. He's got a Vraska's Contempt for which target? For the Bomat Courier. So he's going to take 3 but gain 2, so go up to 28 and then down to 25. Play his Glint Sleeve Siphoner, which given enough time is going to draw him out of this game. But there's a Phoenix, so the hits keep coming with that red deck. Looks like Luis did have an energy that I missed. He was able to draw an extra card. He's attacking for 2, putting Patrick down to 14. Now Patrick gets to serve back for 7, which Luis takes on the jaw, going to 18. Now Luis is able to pay the life and the energy and draw a card. Not sure what I missed about them adjusting life totals last time. Coming in for 2, putting Patrick down to 12, getting one of those energy back, and playing another Gifted Aetherborn, aka Vampire Nightwalk. It can fog that Scrounger for a turn, but the Scrounger is able to come back. So that's 7, putting Luis down to 10. There's a Heart of Kieran off of Patrick, which is going to mean the Scrounger is going to be able to crew a flyer. So if Luis doesn't draw actual draw spells, he's going to find himself overcome by flyers. Flooding the board is not going to get him there, and he is unable to do even that. Game 1 goes to Chain Whirler Control, and I'm going to run out of the room real quick and bring these guys their sideboards. Alright, I'm back, and let's bring up the sideboard screen and talk about what these players might do. So, Luis's Wrath effect, if you would, is destroy all creatures as Phyrexian Scriptures, which does not interact favorably with Bomat Courier or Scrapheap Scrounger, given that it doesn't destroy artifacts. Cast Down doesn't kill Kariazev, but it does hit Courier, Scrounger, Glorybringer, etc. Knight of Malice being a 2/2 first strike blocks pretty well, doesn't deal with the flyers, but the Cast Downs and Nebraska's Contempts are going to have to deal with the flyers. Patrick is probably intending to get a little bigger. I think that's your answer to almost every deck in this format, because you assume your opponent is bringing in more removal. Your aggro plan isn't going to work as well. So given that Luis is playing creatures of reasonable size, particular Dreadshade, you'll probably see that Cuts Ribbons come in. Glorybringer or Siegegang Commander is likely to come in, but not both. Siegegang Commander is probably more... I was going to say Siegegang is more for the mirror match when you want to be able to block and regain lost tempo, but it just gets destroyed by Chain Whirler. So I'm not quite sure when you would bring in Siegegang Commander, and I'd be interested to ask Patrick about that. Again, we see the Swamp, not a Samp, excuse me, that's a Swamp. That black deck does not actually mainboard any Swamps. So when you're bringing your curve up, because you're bringing in Angrass, you're bringing in Glorybringers, you want an additional mana source for Game 2 and Game 3, but in addition, you want one that you can find when your opponent Field of Ruins you. Because you don't mainboard a Swamp, you only mainboard mountains, and sometimes you need to find a black source. So I assume Patrick is going to bring in the Swamp. Given that he is on the draw, though, he probably doesn't want an additional land in his deck, so I assume he'll cut a mountain. I suspect we'll see more Glorybringers. We'll see that Cut to Ribbons, probably instead of a Magma Spray coming in from Patrick. Yeah. That looks like... That's my synopsis. I didn't actually get to see what they were doing, but that's my input. That's what I think we'll see. The players seem to have decided they are shuffling. Patrick's counting his deck, making sure it's the whole 60, and soon these guys are going to shuffle up in percent. Luis will get to be on the play for Game 2, given that he lost Game 1. And this is constructed, so you can assume that your opponent wants to be on the play. Don't know why we still have Badim up there. Let's get the newest Minotaur Pirate. Not everyone has figured out what this card does, and the red-black deck has taken to begin sideboarding this. One, to have a recurring source of burn/card advantage when your opponent's bringing in more removal, but also as a way to win a combat step against a Lyra when your opponent sideboard Lyra in. If you play that 5/5 flying lifelink first strike and think you're stabilized and your opponent takes control of it for a turn, sometimes you are very, very sad. Luis starts with a Glint Sleeve Siphoner, which, if it doesn't die quickly, is going to start drawing him cards, but there goes. It's no longer a living Glint Sleeve Siphoner. And instead, there's a Gifted Aetherborn, so we're back to the 2/3 lifelink Death Touch creatures. Patrick has a Pinalar and a Chandra and a Lightning Strike, so we need to decide if he's going to make the proactive play, which he does seem to. Put 3 power onto the battlefield over 2 bodies. It does mean that he did not get to Lightning Strike his opponent. And he is unable to block this lifelinking attack. So Luis is going to go to 22, Patrick's going to go to 18, and then Luis is going to make another Siphoner, getting a second energy. So if Patrick doesn't answer that Siphoner this turn, Luis is going to get to draw a card. Patrick does have an Abrade, he does have a Chandra, he does have a Scrap Heap Scrounger, so he's got some options. He's going to Abrade the Siphoner, attack for 3. The Fatal Push answers the Pia with Revolt because the Siphoner died, so that Thopter only gets in for 1. And that leaves Patrick with 2 more mana to play a Scrounger. Luis goes to his upkeep, pays 2 energy and a life, and draws an additional card. He does have the 4th land. He will have a 5th land, although I'm not sure what spells he has to play. Scrap Heap Scrounger cannot block. In addition to that, Glintslave Siphoner has Menace, so this is a free attack, putting Patrick down to 16, getting Luis 1 energy. Now Patrick's going to play Chandra. Interesting choice if he's going to tick up or if he's going to tick down. Given that he has another Chandra in hand, I assume he's going to tick it down. But it looks like I'm mistaken. He ticks it up to generate mana, which he uses to cycle Canyon Slough, so he makes no effort to kill the Siphoner this turn, but does attack for 4, putting Luis down to 16. At the end of turn, Luis will Field of Ruin the Dragonskull Summit, and this is where that important swamp out of the sideboard comes in, because game 1, Patrick would not have been able to find black mana, but he sideboarded that swamp in to answer this Field of Ruin, and now he is not off of black mana. Let's see if Luis has another way to use his mana at end of turn. He does not. He proceeds to untap. Finds a Doomfall, which he can use to attack Patrick's hand, but what he needs is to attack Patrick's Chandra. Attacking for 2 at Chandra puts her down to 3 loyalty, puts Luis up to 2 energy. Fatal Push answers the Thopter, a Doomfall answers the Scrounger, but Patrick gets to untap with a Chandra in play and another Chandra in his hand. There's an Abrade, which will clean up that Siphoner. First, he's going to tick up his Chandra, see if he gets to draw a free spell. No, he just generates mana for the Chandra. Oh, and plays a Hazoret with 1 card in hand. So that is an indestructible 5/4 haste coming in, putting Luis down to 11, and definitely putting him on the back foot. Dreadshade's able to become a 6/6 and is able to block that Hazoret, but Chandra Minus is able to bring that down. Patrick does need to get rid of one of the cards in his hand if he wants to attack with Hazoret. He finds a what's that called? Cut to Ribbons, which if he casts that on the Dreadshade, Luis is going to pay 2 mana to pump his Dreadshade so that it survives the attack. But now a block is a chump block, which he's unlikely to make. So he's going to take another 5, I presume, and go down to 6. I was incorrect. He does chump block. He finds a Demon Lord Bells and Lock. So this is going to put some cards in his hand, but I'm not sure how many. What does this card do? When it enters the battlefield, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then you put that card into your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, you repeat this, and then it deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. I assume since Patrick untapped, he only got 1 card and only took 1 damage, but I didn't see what that card was. That's a 6/6 flyer. Chandra's going to -3 on it. And he's going to play another Chandra, and he's going to -3 on it. So it'll kill it, and then this Hazoret gets to come in for 5, putting Luis down to 5. At least Luis answered a Chandra. So now, a Doomfall into a Vraska's Contempt, or either of those cards in any order, will actually catch Luis up. This Dreadshade does a decent job too. Although, Hazoret can pay 6 mana to discard 2 cards, Chandra can tick up. So no, we can just burn Luis out for 6 damage here. He chooses to cast the Angrath, which I was going to say is going to buy Luis a turn, except that Angrath is going to active treason this Dreadshade. Patrick can play a land and attack for 8. So unless Luis casts down his own Dreadshade, yes, that is going to be the match. So that was a quick 2-0 for Chainwhirler Control. Like I said, get used to watching this deck over and over. I'll try not to have it on camera for round 4. But yeah, this deck comes out quick. It draws cards. It has powerful late game. It's resilient to removal. They gave Red more tools than they give it in most standard formats. Pretty impressive. Pretty cool to see Red outdrawing the black deck, for example. Looks like Patrick did bring in Chainwhirlers. Or, sorry, Siege Gang Commanders. So probably did not also bring in Glorybringers. Siege Gang Commander is probably pretty excellent if your opponent is trying to beat you with 1-for-1 removal. So the blue-black control deck might struggle to beat Glorybringers in the games where they're unable to just stick a Scarab God and out Scarab God you. Yeah, seems decent, seems really cool. I wouldn't want to play it if my opponent is playing Chainwhirlers, but that's why you don't mainboard it. So Patrick took this one 2-0. I'm gonna go down, play some music, and have you guys back here for round 4. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, we are back with round 4 of our standard Friday Night Magic. I'm Brad, this is Paradise Games. These players are both 3-0, so it's very likely that they both make it to our bonus round. But our prize structure these days is a booster pack per match win, which means these players are going to stick it out. They're going to play this match. They're going to try and win their sweet, sweet Battle Bond booster packs. It is Chris Staples Wayrock. I assume he's playing Black-White Vampires. His sideboard is definitely black and white. He's been playing... Oh, no, I know what he's playing. It's even cooler. Way cooler. He's playing a Karn History of Benalia deck. So he's playing, like, Planeswalkers and History of Benalias and Heart of Kiran's. That's what he's playing. And Nolan is on blue-white control. I think that Approach of the Second Sons is still in his deck, but it might not be. It might just be Teferius and Gideon's. So I did say blue-white Approach. It might just be blue-white control. We'll find out. So I'm not sure if Chris's deck is black-white or if it's Esper. We'll find out. It definitely has some historic synergies going on. That sure looks black-white. That's a Walking Ballista, I think. Might be a negate. So that'll tell us if he's blue or not. I think he's just black-white. It's a Concealed Courtyard, land entering untapped. Nolan gets to be on the play. Let's see if he has a turn 2 search for Scanta. He does not. Yeah, I also see blue all the way to the left in Chris's hand, but I think that's just the art on Walking Ballista. I think that's an artifact. He plays Heart of Kiran on turn 2. So for Nolan, Heart of Kiran is a really hard card for him to deal with because it never taps, so Seal Away doesn't answer it. And it doesn't die to his Wrath effects. But if he can prevent it from ever getting crewed, then it's just a card that he doesn't have to worry about. So there was a History of Benalia that was going to try and make 2 knights, but Disallow says no, and Nolan gets to cycle a cast out. Nolan is exactly where he wants to be, where he doesn't need to tap any mana on his opponent's turn. Oh, except he just missed his 4th land drop, so he aggressively cycled that cast out trying to find a 4th land, and he didn't. So he's got 7 cards in hand. He doesn't have to discard only because he was on the play. Oh, I guess he got to use a cast out, so he probably has 6 cards in hand. I think I'm just lying. Another History of Benalia. A lot of people don't main board negate. And yeah, it looks like he didn't have an answer to that one. So the first thing that History is going to do is make a knight. And the second thing that History is going to do is make another knight. And the third thing it's going to do is make knights huge. So we'll see how that works out. Gideon's going to fog this Heart of Kiran. Which means Gideon is going to get attacked by that knight. But that's only going to bring him down to 2 loyalty. Not dead. So History of Benalia got its 2nd lore counter. We made another knight. One of these knights does not have summoning sickness. Chris has that beautiful painted knight token. So Chris is able to attack for 2. He opts not to attack Gideon to go for Nolan's life total, it looks like. Which means Chris is probably planning on spending a card to deal with that Gideon, like a cast out or something to that effect. Chris commits a Knight of Malice and a Toolcraft Exemplar to the battlefield, which means there's a lot of power here. Normally you might be afraid to make that commitment to the board because you're playing into a Fumigator or the Settle the Wreckage, but you saw your control opponent stumble on mana. So now Gideon's going to make that emblem, which means as long as Nolan controls a Gideon Planeswalker, he cannot lose the game. But Chris is going to be able to attack for 4, 8, 12, 16 damage just with what we see right now. And we don't know how Chris is going to use his mana on his next turn. Knight of Malice is gross, especially against blue-white control, because you can't Gideon it, you can't Teferi it, you can't cast it out, you can't seal it away. You can still get rid of it with Settle the Wreckage or Fumigate, because neither of those target it.
And no matter what, it gets white count, +1.
Yes, and it'll always have a white permanent. Well, if your opponent has a cast out or Teferi or Gideon, the blue-white approach deck doesn't actually play that many permanents at all. But also, Chris has 3 white permanents on the battlefield right now. So I think I even failed to account for that when I counted 16. I think there's 17 power on the battlefield right now, given that lore counter. So Chris sends a 4/4 Heart of Kiran and a 4/4 Knight at Gideon, and then he sends a 5-power Knight of Malice and a 4-power Knight token at Nolan. So Nolan takes 9, goes to 9. And Chris still has 4 mana. He doesn't really want to play into a Fumigate. He doesn't really want to play into a Settle the Wreckage. So I'm not certain that he will play a spell here. But we will see shortly. It is in fact a Walking Ballista in his hand. You can see it now. Another Knight of Malice gets Essence Scattered. There is a Lyra in Chris's hand. Nolan's hand contains, I believe, 3 Settle the Wreckage. Oh no, it's 2 Settle the Wreckage, 2 Seal Away, a Teferi, and something else. So if Chris swings with everything now, it all gets exiled. And that's going to keep being true. It's going to be true the second and third time he tries to swing.
So should he swing with 1 at a time then?
It's possible he needs to swing with 2 at a time, just to force Nolan to use it. Because if he only attacks, like if he just sends 3 power, Nolan might just not care.
Sure.
Also, he has another Heart of Kiran to play, so getting his first Heart of Kiran exiled is not a huge cost.
So maybe swing with his Knight tokens?
So it looks like he's using his Knight of Malice to crew his Heart of Kiran. And then he's swinging with a token and a Toolcraft. So we did swing with 3 things. So he's going to go get 3 untapped lands.
Tokens have Vigilance.
The tokens do have Vigilance. It says that there on that giant card to the right of the screen. Yeah. So if Chris plays a Heart of Kiran this turn, then next turn he could go Knight of Malice crew, attack for lethal, and force another approach. Force another settle. But I think he wants to play that Karn and wants to start drawing cards. And now is a good time to do it because your opponent's tapped out, so it's going to resolve.
I mean, doesn't he have another Settle the Wreckage though?
Yeah, but Chris doesn't know that and can't assume that.
Sure.
On the other hand,
Nolan has Teferi.
if you play... Oh, he doesn't actually have another Knight of Malice in the hand. It got countered last turn.
Yeah.
If you play the Heart of Kiran now, then next turn, if you're able to crew the Heart of Kiran, you do force Nolan to tap mana to deal with you, probably either with a Fumigate or with a Settle the Wreckage, and that will allow you to resolve Karn next turn. He does have 4 or 3 more mana next turn. He does play the Karn. Let's see if he ticks up or ticks down. He makes a Construct token, putting Karn down to 2 loyalty. And so right now he's got 5, 6 power, but if he makes a few more artifacts next turn, it can become 9 real quick. He does have a Walking Ballista and a Heart of Kiran to commit. No, that's counting. 3 plus 2 makes 5, plus 1 makes 6. You play this Heart of Kirin, the construct becomes a 2/2. So now you've got 7 power showing. Nolan, I think he considered countering it, although if he did, it was a bluff because he does not have a counterspell in his hand. But he needs to play Settle the Wreckage this turn, probably, to survive.
Yeah, I mean, Chris has got that Lyra in hand, just ready to go too.
Chris does have the Lyra, but in this match, Lyra's no more than a 5 power thing. The life gain doesn't
Nolan's gonna
matter.
have to deal with it.
Nolan will have to deal with it. Chris attacks with 2 dudes. They both get settled. Nolan's life total is still at a safe 9. Chris is getting a lot of mana, and Walking Ballista is an XX. It turns a lot of mana into a sizable amount of damage. It'll be curious to see if Chris ticks up Karn or ticks down Karn. I assume you tick him up now, because next turn you can tick him down to make a construct and immediately use that construct to crew the Heart of Kirin.
I think that's the play.
6. He's just going to play 3/3 Walking Ballista. And then tick down Karn and make another construct. So now those constructs are 4/4s. Which means he's got 11 power showing. Nolan hits his 5th land, but does not have the Fumigate. Nolan's trying to decide if he can play a Teferi and survive the turn. I think the answer is he cannot.
I think he'll take care of his Teferi. As soon as he brings it out, he'll have to block or
Yeah, so
save it for lethal.
if you'd play Teferi, you'd -3 it on something. But I think it doesn't matter. I think no matter what you -3 it on, you lose that combat stat. We're going to take up Karn. Let's see what we draw. We're going to draw a land, and it's going to be a Concealed Courtyard. Alright, that's fine. Now, you can reduce Karn's loyalty to crew Heart of Kirin, but you might want to just sandbag that for an additional construct next turn without killing your Karn. Because the problem here is not going to be that you do or don't have enough damage. The problem is going to be Nolan has the Settle the Wreckage or doesn't have the Settle the Wreckage. Those constructs are 4/4s. The Heart of Kirin's a 4/4. Chris is just attacking for 8, which would be enough because then the Walking Ballista would get to take down and do the last damage. But now Nolan's going to play 2 Sealaways to exile those tokens. So Nolan fogs them again. No damage is done to Nolan, still alive at 9.
Why do you think he's not swinging?
He did actually just swing with 2 tokens. They just got exiled by those
Right.
Sealaways. Chris can put 2 counters on that Walking Ballista, but instead he's going to play a Lyra so he can threaten lethal again next turn, which will only allow him to put 1 counter on the Walking Ballista. It's a long slog from 3 counters to 9 counters. It costs 4 mana for each counter you want to put on Walking Ballista. Now, if you play a Teferi and tick down on Lyra, I think you survive. Because Karn crews Heart of Kirin. Nope. You still do not survive that turn. This Walking Ballista is can be lethal on its own if it gets through and wins a combat stat. This is a good tick up. Finding 2 pieces of action with Karn. Both of those will have 3 power. Either of them can crew the Heart of Kirin.
That's gonna be gross.
So now we're gonna, I presume, play Knight of Malice, crew Heart of Kirin, and attack with Heart of Kirin and Lyra? Although maybe Chris wants to preserve his Heart of Kirin because it's the only thing that survives a Fumigate. But no, he's making the line I thought of. Attack with Lyra, attack with Heart of Kirin, show 10 or show 9. Here's another Settle the Wreckage. But eventually, Chris will have so much mana in play that this Walking Ballista is an insurmountable threat. Now he's got enough to put 2 counters on it, which would put it up to 6. And then if he untaps, he has enough mana to put 3 counters on it to put it up to 9. So Nolan still, he's had to have the Settle or the Double Seal Away every combat step, and now he still needs that next turn, and he needs an answer to Walking Ballista right now. If you play Teferi and tick down Bouncing Walking Ballista, Chris can put 2 counters on it, put it up to 6, shoot Nolan down to 3, and then the Knight of Malice kills Nolan still. So instead he's going to tick it up to draw a card and try and untap some lands.
Life.
I think there may... I'm not sure what they stopped about. They seem to have proceeded. Nolan found a land. He'll get to untap 2 lands. He is putting 2 more counters on the Walking Ballista. Nolan will untap 2 lands because of Teferi's trigger. We'll go to Chris's turn. Chris has what I would call all sorts of lethal. Let's see if he can navigate it properly. Chris is trying to decide what he can play around. But the worst thing Nolan could have here is Settle the Wreckage. So if you just serve with your 9 power, and then if Nolan has Settle the Wreckage, you can just put 3 more counters on your Walking Ballista and kill Nolan that way. But he's not attacking with Walking Ballista, which he doesn't need to. So that Knight of Malice attack is going to put Nolan down to 6. Chris is going to tick up his Karn and find another card before he kills Nolan, but it looks like he might allow Nolan to untap. Makes a construct. That construct is a 3/3. Now he's going to put a 7th counter onto Walking Ballista, shoot at Nolan 6 times, and Nolan's going to lose to that. So that does put Chris up 1-0. I'm going to go get these guys their sideboards, and we'll get round 2 started, or sorry, game 2 started as quick as we can. Alright, I'm back. Chris figured out how to come away with game 1. Let's switch to their sideboards and see what we got going on. So, Nolan is aware that everyone in the format has Negate in their sideboard, so the blue-white control deck almost always has a creature sideboard plan. A year ago, that sideboard plan was Regal Caracol and Lifelinking Cats, and Nolan has had those cats in his sideboard ever since. So he's going to bring in Regal Caracols and Torrential Gearhulks. He always does. He's also going to bring in Gideon's Reproach because it's his only 2-mana answer to a Heart of Kirin. But he's also got Invoke the Divines, which in this matchup not only answer Heart of Kirin, but prevent the 2/3 of History of Benalia can interact with a Karn token, but that's not a great deal. But you're likely to bring in Invoke the Divines. For Chris, it's all about these Duress. Chris is going to bring in 3 Duress to try and take those Settle the Wreckages out of Nolan's hands. He's going to bring in Forsake the Worldlies to try and exile Cast Outs to get his Karn back. We may or may not see Angel of Sanctions. We may or may not see Arguel's Bloodfasts. But even though Chris didn't play any removal game 1, he's got to have some number of Fatal Pushes or Vraska's Contempts or Moment of Cravings or Sealaways. He's got to have some amount of removal in his deck. And I suppose he's going to keep Vraska's Contempts and Castouts as a way to deal with Gideon's and Fairies. But I suspect he has some amount of removal to remove. To take out of his deck. And the first thing he's going to bring in is Duress. And then if he's got room, he's going to bring in Arguel's Bloodfast. Or sorry, if he's got room, he's going to bring in Forsake the Worldlies. And then if he has more cards he wants, Arguel's Bloodfast and Angel of Sanctions are both able to play a pretty decent role. So I'm not sure how many of those he'll bring in. It looks like he's trying to figure that out right now. He's got a pile of like 9 cards that he wants to bring in. What is he bringing out? I see Fatal Pushes, Lyras. He's cutting Toolcraft Exemplars, so he's slowing down a little bit, cutting all his Lyras, and he's cutting some Walking Ballistas. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards he's taking out. So that's going to be...
Fatal Push.
Oh, he's cutting the Fatal Pushes. Those are mainboard. He mainboards 3, the 4th one's on the side.
Sure. So you think he's gonna load a Duress in there?
Yeah, so it looks like he's taking out 9 cards, which probably means that he's bringing in 3 Duress, 2 Arguel's Bloodfast, 2 Forsake the Worldly, and 2 Angel of Sanctions.
Nice.
Let's see. Harder to see what Nolan's doing. He's got a pile of counter spells, and he knows he wants them. He is on the play for game 2, so counter spells are much better when you're on the play, because if your opponent is beating you down with something, it's really hard to not tap your mana during your main phase to answer it. But Chris has very little aggressive plays available to him on turn 1, especially if he cuts some number of Toolcraft Exemplars. So it's very likely that Nolan's going to get to turn 2 without Chris having a threat, and then he can sometimes just have counter spells all the way down. But then what does he cut? I have no idea, actually, what cards Nolan would want to take out to bring in Gideon's Reproaches and Regal Caracols. So this will be interesting to see. Also curious to see if Nolan brings in Negates, because so many of Chris's threats are non-creature spells, be they Heart of Kiran's, Karn's, or History of Benalia's. And there's that fire emblem that Nolan uses as whatever Planeswalker emblem he happens to have. He creates Teferi emblems and Gideon emblems, and he uses that deck box cardboard separator for both of those roles. At one point a couple weeks ago, he said he has never had both, or he has not yet had both of those emblems on the battlefield. Someday he might. I don't know what he'll do then. But I think when you have a Teferi emblem, you know you have a Teferi emblem. That's not the kind of thing you forget. These players are shuffling up. It looks like they will be presenting soon. So let's switch modes, try and get a look at their opening hands. Actually, this is a fine view to get a look at their opening hands, so I'll hold on to this a little longer. Watch them draw their 7. Chris is trying to draw 8, but he got that figured out. Nolan's got Cast Out, Fumigate, Lands. Maybe there was another spell there? No, it's 5 land to Cast Out and Fumigate. It's a pretty tough keep. Chris has 2 lands, a bunch of Scrappy Scroungers, and a bunch of History Benalias. So this is a generic but consistent and effective hand from Chris. And Nolan did opt to keep. Turn 2, no play. Chris just drew a 3rd land, but it was an isolated chapel, and he doesn't currently have a plains or swamp, so he won't get to play History of Benalia on turn 3. but he will get to play another Scrounger on turn 3. Nolan cycled away an irrigated farmland, but he's still just finding a pile of lands. Chris has to decide if he's going to play the Scrounger or a Duress this turn. The Duress wastes the mana, but it makes it more likely that he's able to resolve a History of Benalia next turn. So there's the Isolated Chapel, and he does go with the Scrap Heap Scrounger. That resolves. Nolan's draw step was a negate. Here is a Gideon, but he doesn't even have another source of white because he cycled away his irrigated farmland. So now Chris is going to get to go History of Benalia, History of Benalia, History of Benalia, and that will end the game very, very quickly. He's going to make a pile of knights, and I'm not sure that there's anything that Nolan's going to be able to do to interact with this. Chris is going to attack for 6, putting Nolan down to 11. And then he's going to make a 2-2. Oh no, he's going to Duress this turn. Nolan will negate that to protect his cast out. So that lets Chris play the Dark Will's Bloodfast, which will eventually draw him cards. But if he had resolved that Duress, he would know he's not going to need to draw cards. Tempo is what's going to win him this game.
Ooh, look at that hand.
So now, oh, was that all 4?
Yeah.
Jeez. So now Nolan's going to be able to play a Gideon and bubble a Scrounger. Chris is going to commit 2 history. Oh, he starts with the Fumigate. That's an interesting decision. That does put him up to 13 life. Scrounger can come back, but one would have to eat the other one to do it. There's a Karn, but that's not what's happening this game.
No.
We're going to play History of Benalia into History of Benalia into History of Benalia.
I think you can end the game that way.
There's a cast out to answer the Bloodfast. But now we're going to draw a card, make another knight, attack for 2, play another history, make another knight. And that's already 12 with one more trigger. Next turn he's threatening 12, and this turn he's attacking for 2, which puts Nolan down to 11.
There's the next one.
Yep, so that's History of Benalia number 2. Nolan can play a Gideon and bubble one of these. Oh, that's a settle. That'll fog for him. That'll buy him a turn. We hear someone from the not the feature match area, but the main room watching the stream saying, "Oh, Chris, why?" Alright, so now Nolan is at 11. Chris has 12 power on the battlefield. Well, I guess he had 16 power on the battlefield, but only 12 of it that's not summoning sick. So here, we're going to attack for 12. We're going to exile all of these. Hey Steven, how are you doing?
Alright.
So this is a game where the blue-white approach player stumbled on mana. That's not true. Had nothing to do for the first 3 turns of the game.
Okay.
And the black-white player played turn 4, 5, 6, and 7 History of Benalia. We're currently on that turn 5, so he's playing his 3rd History of Benalia now.
Okay.
1 Settled Wreckage
And
answered 1.5 of
He
those
has
Histories of Benalias.
one more history, is that what you're saying?
He has 2 more histories in his hand, one that he's about to put on the battlefield.
Alright. I guess we're learning a lot about Benalia today.
Yeah! Oh, I mean, it's the same story over and over. It's like every time I go to church on Easter or Christmas, it's always a rerun.
I really appreciate Chris's token strategy here. He has all of his knight tokens in one sleeve, and then he just takes them out as he gets more.
And I like that he has 2 of the nice token.
Oh, is it only 2?
I think so.
No, I've seen 3.
Oh, okay. We had one of the ugly ones on the battlefield, but it must have been the
That's-
4th.
Yeah, that's upsetting, but I like the idea at least.
Alright, so Nolan just drew an Invoke the Divine, which can destroy a History of Benalia. But you destroy the one that's going to make another knight, or the one that's going to pump his team next turn? You're at 11, the team's only 8.
Okay, we're going for play the Forsaken played Gideon. I assume that was the team.
Oh, was that Forsake or Invoke? That was Invoke to Divine, right?
Or, yeah,
So he is
Invoke.
gaining 4 life, going to 15.
It looks like
It should be mentioned that I like Forsake more than Invoke in this format in general.
Yeah, I think Nolan specifically has Invoke the Divine against like Murder Vehicle decks.
Sure.
Which
He's probably he's playing a deck with Silhouette in it.
yes,
So he's probably a little bit more worried about Heart of
Heart of
Kirin
Kirin.
specifically than Scrap Heap Scourger, which is the reason that, like, I, for example, would play Forsake.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when you have Fatal Push, you can Fatal Push the Heart of Kirin, but then you need the opposite things.
all right. So one of those knights is bubbled. One of those knights is summoning sick. The other one's just attacking for 2.
Oh, I thought it was confused.
Oh, it does have a 50% chance of doing 20 damage to itself.
30 damage.
30 damage to itself. Man, they keep changing these rules.
You gotta flip a coin.
So now because of that Settle the Wreckage, Chris has 7 mana, which means he can play some combination of Karn, History Benalia. He can play an Angel of Sanctions, but
Well, step 1 is attack, right?
he did attack.
Oh, he's attacked.
He sent Nolan from 15 down
he
to
attacked
13.
Nolan. Okay.
Yes, he did not attack the Gideon. I think the Angel of Sanctions is supposed to answer the Gideon this game.
Sure.
That's his plan.
I don't know. I feel like I want to just. I mean, he's not close enough to killing Nolan where I feel like he.
Well, if he plays a History Benalia this turn, he kills Nolan next turn.
Yeah.
So that's pretty close.
I'm pretty skeptical of even wanting to do that against the Fumigate Settle Wreckage deck. Like, all this stuff seems like it's probably just not happening. I mean, that could be wrong. but-
This might be Nolan's. This is Nolan's only card in hand, the one he just drew off the top.
Oh. Well, in that case,
So,
never mind.
Yeah, Chris,
it's time
Chris
to go
made
in.
his decisions that turn knowing his control opponent had no cards in hand.
Yeah, I assumed there were cards in hand, but in this case, okay, fine. What did he draw?
Cast out. Could be anything.
Well, could he be anything as far as Chris knows? But we
I
don't
mean,
know.
but we don't know that. It could still be anything. That could be a Settle the Wreckage.
Oh, Nolan thinks so too. Could be a Fumigate.
It could still be anything.
It could still be anything. It could still even be Fumigate, in fact.
Could even be cast out at this point.
But that's a Settle the Wreckage.
That is a Settle the Wreckage. That does buy him another turn.
Okay.
And actually, he's like kind of slogged through this. If Chris
Well,
does a card on the battlefield,
I mean, yeah, there's a, like, okay, so what happens here? Like, he hits part 3 of Benalia. All his guys get +2/+1. Nolan's at 13, so he needs to attack with, let's see, there's plenty of light
2
permanents.
tokens and 1
2 tokens
Knight
and
of
a
Mallet,
knight.
so he can leave 1 token
So we're going
back.
to exile 3 knights, 1 token's going to be left over, and then there's Karn, and it's Gideon against that.
And I'm not sure what's under that cast out, but it's not nothing. It might be a Scrounger, it
Yeah.
might be...
And then we
It might
enter-
be a History Benalia, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But then we enter the Angel Sanctions portion of the show, and I'm not feeling good from Nolan here.
And I don't think Regal Caracol is the answer to get him out of it.
Regal Caracal's not even good.
He still plays through Regal Caracols in his sideboard.
I don't mean in general. I mean here. Like,
Yeah,
just-
I mean, it's not bad.
It's not- yeah, it's
answers
one of the
knights
better draws,
reasonably
but-
well.
it's one of the better draws, but.
Yep, so this is 13 pointed at your dome, I assume. Must not be, because it
What?
took the damage and the game's not over.
If he's taking it, he's just dead.
Oh, he had a Gideon and an emblem. So yeah, his life total went to 0.
Oh!
Was he missing a white source?
Oh, no. His life total went to 0, and then he played the Angel and exiled the Gideon.
Yeah. So I'm wondering why Nolan let his life total go to 0 when he had a Settle the Wreckage in hand.
Yeah.
Perhaps he only had 1 white source and he used it to cycle. Or had 2 white
He
sources.
had 2 white sources, but maybe he just thought that.
My life total doesn't matter?
Well, maybe he thinks that if you have something that answers my Gideon, I'm losing the game anyway. I'm top decking here. I gotta just play as if, you know.
That is...
The way this, like, let's think about it this way. Like, if he has an answer to the Gideon, how is Nolan ever winning the game? You know, it has to be
I assume by casting approach to the second zone. But you mean this turn. If he can answer Gideon this turn.
right, and that's the only way Nolan dies. Because next turn there's Settle Wreckage, right?
Well, once your life total is 0, and the answer to the Gideon at any point beats you.
Right, but he has ways to get his life total back above 0. I'm not saying I like it.
Very few.
I'm not saying I
I
like
guess
it or that
maybe a
it's
bunch of
gonna work.
cats.
But my thinking is that I mean, you have settled wreckage in hand, and that's it. And you're against all these things. Like, you're gonna have to do something to win the game, and
Sure.
maybe it's you have to wait for a bigger settle or to draw something that lets you, leverage all your cards in a different way. I mean, it's true that he died there, but
Sure.
maybe he thinks that he can't beat those things.
But if his path to victory was already play Approach of the Second Sons and gain 7 life, then maybe going from 0 to 7 is more significant than going from
Right.
11 to, 13 to 20.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, and like, let's say he untaps and draws Fumigate, and the Gideon's not answered. Now he's actually fine.
Sure, yeah.
Like he kills all the creatures. He's back above 0. He has a Gideon, and he can attack Karn with it. Like, that might be his best line to try to actually win. Start getting Karn loyalty off Karn. Still have your Gideon. Still have your settle for future. Whatever happens.
Yeah, for the next time Chris mounts an assault.
Like, to me, I'm trying to imagine ways that he wins from that position, and maybe that's the one. Settling knights and leaving him with still a whole bunch of stuff in play. Like, yeah, it's close.
And the way Chris won game 1 through like what almost felt like a lock from Nolan, because Nolan had turn 4 settle the wreckage, turn 5 settle the wreckage, turn 6 double seal away, turn 7 settle the wreckage.
Yep.
But eventually Chris just played a gigantic walking ballista and counters on it and didn't need combat steps, and the game ended.
Yeah. And, a lot of the way, especially in post-board games, that you die as blue-white is that your opponent plays one creature and says, do something about this creature. And you have to use your settles or your fumigates or what have you on it. Because he's probably boarding out Seal Away, by the way, because it's horrible in this matchup.
Sure, doesn't it? Well, I mean, Chris does play the Toolcraft Exemplar and Skypeak Stranger.
It's all right. It's good against Scrapheap Scourger, but that's about it. It's fine against Toolcraft Exemplar too. I'm not even sure that Chris is keeping in the Toolcraft Exemplar though.
I think he said boarded 1 or 2 of them out, but not all 4 of them.
I have heard Nolan say before that he immediately boards that Seal in this matchup just because it answers so few of the things. It doesn't answer Heart of Kieran, it doesn't answer any of the Knight nonsense.
Yeah, it doesn't answer Karn, doesn't
Yeah,
right,
just
not
certainly-
Knight of Malice.
Yeah, I mean, it gets the Angel, I suppose, but that's probably not the way you want that exchange to go. No. The history, this black-white history Benalia deck is, pretty much invented in order to dodge and frustrate specifically blue-white controls removal. It is the I don't care if you have Seal Away because most of my things are really good against Seal Away deck.
Yep. So that was round 4. Our top 8 are going to be invited to play bonus round, and both of these players were 3-0. So I'm presuming that both of these players are making the bonus round.
How many players was that?
I don't remember. I think it was exactly 17.
Okay.
And then we had 2 people drop, so there are probably 15 people in the room right now.
I might have a shot.
You might have a shot. You ended up 2 and 2?
Yeah.
Cool. Yep, so we're gonna play music, cut to black until we can get to that bonus round. We're gonna play one more match of Magic for you guys, and that one's going to be for 2 booster packs and an F&M Opt. So yeah, thanks for watching. We'll be back in, I suspect it'll be less than 11 minutes. We've been taken through here pretty fast. That's what happens when Red Aggro is one of the best decks in the format. But yeah, thank you and stick with us. See, just like I said, we're back real quick. That round clock is wrong. This round is not timed because this is the bonus round. It's also not Chris against Nolan, but it is Ian Cole on our left and Finn McNutt on our right. Finn is super annoyed that I asked him for his sideboard again because he says he's been playing the same deck for 6 months. That deck is Blue-White Godfarrow's Gift. And I keep taking his deck from him to record the sideboard. Ian, I have not had on camera yet. Let's see what he's got here. This looks like Mono Black Midrange. So, the Mono Black deck, I don't believe mainboards any ways to attack the graveyard. He's got like Phyrexian Scriptures. That is possible. I know he has some in his sideboard. I don't know if he has any in his main board. So he might just not be able to interact with the combo. He doesn't have any artifact destruction because he's, you know, mono black. But yeah, we'll see. We'll let him get playing and see what happens. Oh, it's a smaller, more aggressive deck than I thought. I'm seeing the Bird, the 1-mana 3/2 flyer if a creature died. So that's pretty nice. There's Dread Wanderers. Yeah, so he's actually a mono black aggro deck. Might have zombie synergies, but I'm not going to assume that he does yet. There is that Ministry of Inquiries, and it is not going to block this time. Last time I had Finn on camera, the Ministry of Inquiries was in chump block mode right from the very beginning. So I'm interested to see what it is that flavors that decision on Finn's part. Wanderer gets in again, puts Finn down to 16. And here's a Walking Ballista for 1. Not the most exciting follow-up, but at least he had a way to use his mana and he's doing something. Looks like Finn did get 1 instance of mill off and he hit nothing, land. Wanderer gets in again, gets him down to 14, and here's Duress. She's taking the Fumigate, showing a hand with a million refurbishes, but nothing for him to target. So here's another mill targeting yourself, and if it hits a Godpharaoh's Gift, that's real good, but no, it hits a Fumigate, it hits a Ministry of Inquiries, and there's the Godpharaoh's Gift in Finn's hand. That's not the most useful place for it. So Finn's going to continue to get beaten down. He's got all the refurbishes, but he was not able to find the artifact that he needed to reanimate. Now, not quite sure what happened with that Walking Ballista. Oh, that Walking Ballista got in for 1, putting Finn down to 13, died, putting Finn down to 12. Sorry, 10, and then used its death to play a bunch of Bone Pickers for real cheap. So that was pretty sweet. Those Bone Pickers are 3/2 flyers. There's 8 power. So Finn's actually going to block this time, but it might be too late. Yeah. Looks like they're cleaning up, so I'm going to go run and get them their sideboard. I didn't quite get all of Finn's sideboard here, but I think I know most of it. But yeah, I'll bring these guys their decks. Finn shows his hand. Look, I've got the Charter Course, I've got the Refurbishes, I've got the Godpharaoh's Gift, and it's found it all a little too late. I'm going to get these guys their sideboards, and we'll be going to game 2 as quick as we can.
They're not Power Stone, sorry. Yeah, for that one, yeah. That's the main deck that I've like. Yeah, online, like not arena or anything. Yeah, right. No, yeah.
So Walking Ballista being able to turn on Bone Picker for cheap is quite the interaction. That looks real nice. I haven't actually seen that before, and I played quite a bit of Bone Picker. Yeah, you can see Finn's giant Negate and Sunscorch champion. Sorry about that. He has a Cast Out and Ixalan's Binding, a White Gearhulk. Man, I did in fact miss most of his sideboard because that game went so fast and I was trying to keep up with the overlay. But what does the mono black deck have to bring in? The Knight of Malice is going to dodge white removal, but Finn doesn't play a whole lot of white removal, mostly opting for Settle Wreckage and Fumigates, which don't target, and the Knight of Malice doesn't actually help against. The Kitesail Freebooter is going to allow Ian to interfere with Finn's combo, so that's pretty important to go along with the Duresses that Ian, it seems, to main deck, which I think is a very good decision. The Death's Majesty would let him try and outgrind his opponent. The Phyrexian Scriptures actually gives him a way to attack Finn's graveyard, which is actually relevant at every phase in the game, because Godpharaoh's Gift demands constant fuel. You can actually let a Godpharaoh's Gift get a thing, answer that thing, and then have your Phyrexian Scriptures exile your opponent's graveyard, and it's still good. The Godpharaoh's Gift then sits on the battlefield, not doing anything until the next time a blue-white player loses a creature. Which, you know, that only buys you 1, maybe 2 turns. But you're an aggro deck that can put 6 power and flying creatures on the battlefield for 2 mana, so that's 1 or 2 turns is definitely pretty nice. Game 1 went too fast and I didn't get all of Finn's sideboard.
Might go fast.
Let's see, what's he playing against?
It's mono black aggro against blue white Godpharaoh's Gift.
Oh, yes. I played against Ian today. Yeah, it doesn't feel like Ian probably has a whole ton of stuff against Godpharaoh's Gift.
He mainboarded Duress, and it was really good.
Okay.
Also, just he played Walking Ballista on turn 2,
Mm-hmm.
and turn 3 sacked it for 1 damage and played a pile of Bone Pickers.
Okay. That's some stuff.
Yep. So he's definitely got some action. He gets to bring in freebooters, and I was.
So he must have won game 1.
He did
Yeah.
win game 1.
Okay.
I'm pondering how good Phyrexian Scriptures is in this matchup.
I don't think he should play it.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking that even though it takes 3 turns for it to attack the graveyard,
It's possible that because he doesn't seem to have a whole lot else. I mean, there's some number of duress in the main deck. Chupacabra and just like removal isn't the worst thing, but since he has no other real graveyard hate, unless he has scavenger grounds that I don't know about lurking about somewhere, it's possible that he should bring in Scriptures just because he doesn't have a whole lot else that's good.
on the other hand, there's no class of card in his main deck that's bad here.
That's true.
His Vraska's Contempts are playable. His I don't want History of Benalia. That's not what we need here.
I kind of suspect that
His Fatal Pushes are playable. His Dresses are playable. His Creatures are playable.
Fatal Push is playable, but not good.
But I would probably rather have a Fatal Push than a Phyrexian Scriptures or Ravenous Chupacabra.
I don't know that that's necessarily true. Fatal Push is pretty much only good against exactly Minister,
Yeah.
and some games that's important, and some games it's really not. And like when you're getting beaten down by copies of things from Godfrey's Gift, it usually isn't saving you, and like a lot of
Yeah,
times,
but neither is Chupacabra.
a lot of times you'll get in a spot where they're trying to catch up, and they make an angel, and you Chupacabra the angel, and then like
The next thing they
Next-
make is not an angel.
it's not an angel, and you're on the attack still, and like that can be enough. None of these things are super great.
Oh, Finn's life total is not 10, it is 20. This matchup would be a lot easier if your opponent started at 10. There's the turn 2 Charter Course, but it is not able to discard a Godfrey's Gift.
Was it just a plains?
Yeah. Finn did not purchase a yearbook. Instead, he got all of his friends to sign his standard deck.
That's neat.
I thought that was very cool. That's why I presented these to you. I'm like, do you think that's going to offend anyone?
Right. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That was these cards.
Neat. Yeah. Okay.
And she was perfect, because much like his yearbook, he's going to care about it until approximately next September. That Knight of Malice is only 2 power, not 3 power, so that's going to put Finn down to 18.
All right. and
Ooh,
then
Amit Eternal. I haven't seen this card in a while. So every time your opponent casts a spell, it gets smaller. And then when it deals combat damage to a player, it becomes a 5/5 again. So
Finn's considering whether to just main phase activate Minister, and I think he has neither creatures nor a Godfrey's Gift in his graveyard, so I'm not sure I can advocate that.
but he has got 2 energy. Why would he not?
Well, because he might want to block.
Yeah, but I would assume he's going to activate it once and block next turn. That would be my hunch. I don't think taking 5 one time is that scary. I'm blocking, you still take 3. Apparently the thing has afflict 3 also.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I didn't
So-
actually realize that. I was too hung up on zombie
yeah,
crocodile
blocking
demon.
is not particularly attractive. You only prevent 2 damage.
You block the knight, you also only prevent
2
2
damage either way. I guess
Alright.
you might as well block the
Got it.
Madness in case something terrible happens.
And dig into 3 lands. Take 5, go to 13. And now Ian not only has 4 mana, but his Bone Pickers are 1 mana.
When we're duressing here, so we're not even
Taking the refurbish.
Oh, but there's 2 fumigates.
That's true.
I was gonna say that, it's pretty
Finn's
likely
like-
that Finn. Yeah, take that. Yeah, sure. It's pretty likely that Finn's trying to just, rip a land and hit a fumigate here, and that duress was gonna take that. But now that there's 2, I actually like Finn's spot a lot better here.
Ian
Taking the
can
refurbish.
commit a Bone Picker, can play a Dread Wanderer.
It almost feels like he has to
Just
load up and hope he doesn't hit a land.
that is not a land.
But that's a
That
champion,
makes it
which is
very likely that there's a land next turn.
actually pretty good, right?
Didn't actually draw into a land there either.
No. Can't see. Is that an excellence finding?
He did have an Ixalan Binding in the
So
sideboard.
how much damage is coming through here? Let's see. There's the Bone Picker, the Amit, which is a 4/4 now. So 4, 5, 6, 7, basically unblockable. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 11. You're still 2 short.
And then, what
But
Ian
we
doesn't
blocked.
know
Yeah.
is that Finn didn't actually find a land off that Champion of Wits.
Well, he probably knows now. He didn't play a card. If he didn't play land.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, so.
So it's going to be 4 on the Eternal plus 2
4, 5, 6,
on the
7, 8,
zombie.
9, go to 4, presumably. And maybe trade with the zombie instead of blocking the knight. That makes sense.
That does make sense. So he's going to go to 4. He's got a Champion of Wits in his graveyard. Not 14, 4.
So.
So if you're
a
Ian,
nice-
you don't commit anything else to the
No, I
battlefield, although
can't
you
now.
do send your Dread Wanderer to the graveyard.
Yes. Well, I guess we're. Well, how? Hold on.
Yeah, right? Because Finn is going to 8, not to 9. Or sorry, to 7, not to 8. So, thankfully, Steven went in there and made sure they had cleaned that up for us. That was very kind of him. Thank you for that. So now...
They were saying that Finn is at 6. I think we missed him paying life with him.
Oh, that I believe that.
Okay, so Ixalan's Binding comes down on what
Dread
was that?
Shade.
Which
Ian actually has a second one in
the
his
second
hand.
one, so okay.
And I think Finn still has a Fumigate in his hand.
Yes, he does. He's not immediately dead to this Scrap Heap.
Correct. 2 turns.
If he draws a land here, though, he can just get a Champion Wits with. He could play the Godfrow's Gift and get Champion Wits, right?
He doesn't have a Godfrow's
Or
Gift in
did
his
he
hand.
discard that at some point?
Yes, 2 of the Champion Wits. His cards in hand right now, I believe, are Fumigate and Counterspell. I didn't see what kind of Counterspell.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's a draw. I have no idea what's going on. He's got a blue card in his hand. Oh, it's a negate.
Negate.
And he just drew a Champion Wits.
So,
Which is gonna buy him another
Run out
turn.
the Champion Wits. If he draws. Yeah, you kind of need some action here.
There's more Champion Wits. That's kind of like action.
Now we're dead to removal. I don't like this.
But not Fatal Push.
True.
But yeah, there's 2 Dread Shades in Ian's hand, unable to be cast because of that Ixalan's Binding.
Okay. You can cast Bone Picker. Yeah, this is.
There's another
It's getting a
land.
little dodgy in here.
That's going to be a
We're gonna block,
trade.
sure.
That guy's going to come back. He's going to be a 1-mana Bone Picker,
But
followed by a
now-
Scrounger.
No, he shouldn't play the Bone Picker, right?
Into the Fumigate? That's what we're talking about?
Yeah, because now Finn's at 3.
That makes sense. And he does
If he
know about the
fumigates, it
Fumigate.
goes up to 4. So, like,
So then the Scrounger's not lethal.
yeah, the Scounger's. I mean, you're doing the Scounger thing either way, so.
Sure.
Yeah, just pass. All
That'll
right.
make sense. There's land number 7.
Okay, that's important.
So that lets him do the Champion of Wits thing.
Okay. So now what are we looking at? I wonder if. I guess there's a counter argument to playing the Bone Picker where now you have to fumigate.
But yeah, but there's no draw that gets Ian the extra point of damage. I assume. I don't actually know that.
Well, that's true, but like, so now the problem is we're staring down a champion and still to fumigate. So we have to draw a removal spell, or basically all this is quickly slipping out of hand.
Right, and there's 2 more champions in the graveyard. So even if
Exactly,
you force
so
Finn to
there's-
fumigate later, it's not like you
Yeah, it's not like he's
generate
out
an
of
advantage there.
Now we're playing, and
A
now what's our
4-mana
play?
Bone
We're gonna play
Picker.
Bone Picker and do nothing.
And not attack with Scrounger.
Yes, It's complicated. I'm not sure.
It's
Oh, boy.
possible Ian does have
Well, here
more than literally 0 burn, because like Torment of Hailfire exists.
Yeah,
I think he
that's-
has one in the sideboard. I don't think he
yeah.
brought it in.
I would doubt he brought it in also. So now the next.
True to Course means neither Fumigate nor Champion of Wits this turn.
No, he can play Fumigate. He has 8 lands now.
Okay. I'm presuming that he does not Fumigate on this board.
Oh,
no, he needs
He's
to,
dead on
because there's a
board.
flyer that's
Yeah,
gonna
I
kill
mean,
him.
yeah, I don't think he wants to, but I think he started coursing hoping to find an angel so that he can then use the refurbish he has drawn to make that angel and, pull back ahead. But yeah, it's just Fumigate. So we're getting 3 life up to 6.
The Scrounger's gonna come back.
Scrounger will be back immediately. Put Finn back down to 3.
And then Finn will get to do the Champion of Wits thing again, if that's how he chooses to.
I'm guessing that one way or another we'll be refurbishing on.
Sure, because that still gets you a
It's
Champion of
it's
Witch
cheaper, yeah.
if you don't find a better.
And then you can try to draw into.
And he does have 8 lands, so he can
Oh, and
Ibni
just-
Rivulet.
Okay, in come the.
Right, there was a Wanderer in the graveyard. So it's not. You play the land, you Rivulet yourself, and you refurbish.
Probably just strategic planning instead of rivuleting.
But that just it's fewer hits on Angel, right?
It's fewer hits on Angel, but you can, get cards that are forward action and put them in your hand. Like if, say, he has a 3rd Fumigate or something like that. Or a Settle or, whatever.
So now he gets a God Pharaoh's Gift. He doesn't have Sunscourge Champion, so it is a Champion of Wits that he's going to reanimate.
Nice.
It could be a Minister of Inquiry, but now he needs to find a piece.
We're just
yeah.
okay. We're not even doing any of that. We're going straight to the Angel's Sanctions,
Which
What does
does
that
keep him
mean?
alive.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because if it gets one of the 3 power dudes, it blocks the other 3 power dude, and then there's only a 2 power dude.
Okay. Yeah, I guess on board at least. Yeah, exile that. Boy, we're in close territory here, though. We're as we've been for many turns. We're dead to removal spell. Dead to Ravenous Chupacabra, in fact.
And you got him. Not Fatal Push. Walking Ballista for lethal.
Yeah, that looks like game to me.
Yes,
that's it.
and they agree. So Ian Cole on Mono Black
How many more
aggro.
cards was it till the Angel? Oh wow, lots.
They hang out in groups. Those Angels were less clicky. Finn might have stood a chance.
Was that only 3 Angels? Did he board one out?
That's peculiar.
That's weird.
Well,
Okay.
that was our bonus round.
was.
Ian on Mono Black Aggro was able to win that 2-0, so he is getting 2 booster packs and an F&M Opt for this one. Thank you guys for watching. This was Paradise Games doing Friday Night Magic. This is going to be up on YouTube, and if you want to watch some of our previous broadcasts, they're on Twitch for about 14 days, I think, but then they spend the rest of their lives on YouTube. So watch us there. That's at Paradise Games. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great night.